a bit about Schottky junction and the non-ohmic context. And these are some important points. Okay. So what exactly do you mean by Schottky junction? Okay. So what is this Schottky junction? So Schottky junction is nothing but the junction between a metal and semiconductor. Okay. Metal and so, whenever you are designing any kind of device, let's say you have any kind of semiconductor device and you actually want to extract a signal from that particular semiconductor, you can't just take a normal wire and then you can connect it to the end to end and you expect getting some kind of signal. That's not possible. Right? Even a normal wiring will actually demand a lot of things. For example, you have to do soldering, okay, so that the connections are proper, okay. So it's very important that we make those connections, and a junction between a metal and a semiconductor is really called the Schottky junction. Okay, so please remember this. This is important. Okay, so let me just Schottky. Okay, the second point that should be noted is it can be basically rectifying. Okay, it can be rectifying. Okay, or it can also be ohmic. Ohmic contact. So I'll shortly come to what do you mean by ohmic contact and a rectifying contact. But then, if I just tell you what is rectifying, one of the most important property of a rectifier is what is the application of rectifier? We already know. You can actually convert a direct current to an alternating current to direct current. So that is one of the applications of a rectifier, okay, rectifying circuit. So rectifying circuit basically allows current to only flow in one direction. So allows current to flow in one direction. Uh, I told you in the last class about the device that we talked about, diode. Diode will basically allow current to only flow in one direction. Okay, so a diode is basically a very good example of a rectifier. So if you basically just plot a graph, it would behave like the ohmic context. Okay, it's not a straight line because it does not follow Ohm's law. So it is non-ohmic in nature. Okay, so if someone tells you that it allows current to flow in one direction with the diode, is it rectifying? Yes. And what else we can call it? We can also call it as non-ohmic. Do you know the title that I've given just now? Okay, the title that I've given just now, non-ohmic. Okay, so in this non-ohmic, we can actually see this. Okay, so this particular line defines a lot of important information. Okay. And one more point that I'd like to include here is three. Okay. Contact electrodes is basically to a semiconductor device. So basically, if you consider a Schottky junction, okay, and if you want to actually extract some kind of signal from a semiconductor device, you must have a contact electrode. So it is a contact electrodes. Okay, so contact electrodes to a semiconductor device. So whenever you are making any kind of device, you have to make some kind of contact electrode, and that will actually be having a junction between the semiconductor and the contact, and that is what we call as the Schottky junction. So these are some important points that we should know before we actually start. And then now probably we should actually look to some important diagrams. Okay? So whenever you open any kind of book or where they're discussing about diodes, okay, or any electronics, IV characteristic is very important. Okay, so what we are going to do is study the IV characteristics. Okay, so in this class again it's to study the IV characteristics. IV characteristics, the term might seem to be a bit complicated, but very simple. We plot a current versus voltage graph. Okay? So how do we plot a current versus voltage graph for a diode? Okay, so a diode will actually work both in reverse bias and forward bias. How much will be the current to applied voltage? That's a different scenario. But then it can actually work both in reverse and forward bias. Okay, depending on how much you have doped it. So what we are going to do now is we are going to just draw this. Okay, okay, and hopefully I can draw it. Okay, okay. So you basically just whenever you do it in your exam, you have to just do this, okay, and then you can just draw a straight line here. Then you can actually draw a straight line here, passing through the origin. So this is a straight line, right? So what we can have here is Okay. So what we have here is on this side we have got the voltage, and this side we have got the current. Okay. So we have got the voltage and the current plot. Okay. And then we see that if the voltage increases, the current increases proportionally. Okay. So that means this is a straight line, and hence it's nothing but we are talking about the Ohm's law. Right. So this particular part is basically ohmic in nature. Ohmic. Okay. So this is ohmic. Small, difficult to just so many things. So this is ohmic in nature. Okay. If we just make this point there, that if it's a straight line, this is ohmic in nature. There are certain devices which behaves almost like an ohmic contact, but it might not really be ideal. Okay, so I ohmic by ohmic I mean it's an ideal case. Okay, so maybe I can just put one word here inside the bracket. It's ideal. Okay, this is ideal. But then let's go back and try to draw another line here with purely ohmic. Okay, now I cannot draw the line. I have to, so we do this. So this is almost unstraightened, okay, and here, and then it goes here, and so this is almost a straight line, except probably in this particular region, okay. So this is something which we call as near roving, okay. So this is something which we call as near roving, okay. So this is near roving. So I think it's not very difficult to understand because this is almost a straight line, so it will become like an oblique, but it is not perfectly oblique. Okay, so this is not perfectly oblique. So actually, I will get an arrow here. That's very important. Arrangement of pieces. So this is actually near oblique. Okay, so this is important. So where do we see such cases? This is actually seen in stress setup. We will actually see this. Okay? So economic behavior we are going to analyze. Okay, let's just look into some diode property and how does a normal semiconductor diode behave. Okay, so let's just look into a normal semiconductor diode, and if we just want to draw the circuit for or the IV characteristics for a normal semiconductor diode, I think you already know it. You can just you can draw it better in your copy. Okay, and then you just try. This is something which is basically a normal semiconductor type. Okay. So maybe on the other side, I can just find it. Okay. So this is a normal semiconductor type. So please understand that these diagrams are very important, and I'm including every information here. Semiconductor type. So this is again important, and this kind of images you might have already seen, and this is definitely not ohmic. Okay, this is what non-ohmic in nature because this actually doesn't show you any kind of linear behavior. Okay, so this is non. So in the normal class as we draw along the board, I think it becomes more easy to understand. So I just trying to do it. Okay. And then if you have something which is called as a Schottky junction, what happens is this voltage, this part is the knee voltage, if you remember, okay. If you remember this part, if you actually draw a tangent, approximately I can just tell this is the knee voltage. Okay. So this is something which we do. Okay. And then we can actually use the definition and then know what is the knee voltage. Okay. But then for Schottky junction, what happens is the knee voltage is lesser. That means for lesser voltage, there is a jump. Okay. So maybe I can just draw one more line here. Okay. Take this. Here, what happens is you can just do it in this way, or rather, goes almost same here, and then it jumps here. Okay. And then on the other hand, also we can just have it. Okay. So what is this? This is basically your Schottky junction. If you have a Schottky junction, it will do something like this. So this will be something like this. So this is junction. Okay, this is a Schottky junction. So if you have a Schottky junction, you'll be having something like this. The graph will look something like this. Okay, what is the Schottky junction? Junction between a metal and a semiconductor. So if you kind of have characteristics at that particular point, you are going to get a graph which is something like this. Okay, and this is basically nothing but what we call as the breakdown region. Okay, so this is a good explanation there. This is also important. So I think we should write this down. Okay. Avalanche breakdown I'm not discussing because avalanche breakdown will be a bit further. Okay, so this is basically the breakdown region, uh, and if you go further, you increase the biasing. You know that there will be a large number of minority charge carriers. So the chances are that avalanche breakdown will be somewhere here. It will be somewhere here. So if it happens here, if we really have it here, the avalanche breakdown. Okay, this will be like a different setup altogether. Okay? So this is how does the IV characteristic look for different kinds of electronics. For example, the first one is an ohmic one, which is ideal. Basically, it follows the Ohm's law. Okay, so where we can just write down might be some few points here. Okay? So, so what happens in ohmic we are actually having if you are not clear about these things, I think you should always you can always check back your basics. Okay, that's very important. And what happens in nearly omic? It's not ideal. Okay, nearly omic is not ideal, but follows Ohm's law. Okay, nearly follows Ohm's law. Okay, so omic, that's important. Okay. And then we got the Schottky junction, and then we have got the unpredictable dive, which you already know. So these are four important characteristics that we basically have. Okay, and then how do you draw a simple normal semiconductor diode? How do you apply the biasing amount? I think we already know about it, but anyway, if you just draw a simple figure. What we do here is we usually have this function, right? And then we can actually just do the biasing, and then I think we already know how to do the biasing. Okay, so it's positive, negative. Okay, so this is it of the term. So this part will be P, this part will be N, okay, and then this is more or less forward bias. Okay, so if you have a forward bias something like this, you are going to get this part, okay, and the reverse bias will be on this side, right? So basically, this side is nothing but we are talking about the reverse bias, and this side we are actually talking about the forward bias. So this is something which you already know. Okay? One more important point to note here is this. Okay, so what happens usually is if you just talk about this range, okay, range of voltage. On this side, you might be getting, let's say, this is around, let's say, 2 volt. Okay, this might be around 1 volt. Okay, this might be the origin 0 and so on. Okay, on this side, so that's the forward bias. So forward bias is range. So okay, in a typical, let's say, semiconductor diode, you are going to get a breakdown of pipe. You are going to get very high current for around 2 volts. But then if you go to the bias part, it will be the range will be totally different. This might be 20, okay, and then this might be 40, and then let's say around 60, okay, around 60, you will get a breakdown voltage. Okay, so this diagram and understanding the scale is actually very important. Okay, so the current. What about the current now? Okay, the current on this side, if you just take it on this side, okay, will be actually milliamperes. Okay. And if you take the current on this side, okay, this will be nanoamperes. Sorry. Let's take the old one. Okay, nanoamperes micro interface. Nowadays, even micro interface you can do. So let's just take five.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir,
Hmm.
sir. In Schottky Schottky junction, sir, the knee voltage becomes small, sir.
Yeah, yes. Because you see the D voltage is here for a normal semiconductor junction. In Schottky junction, actually what happens is the doping is different. That is what I'm going to explain now. Okay. So what happens is here we are having the voltage, the D voltage. So that will always be lesser. Because how do you find out the D voltage? You can basically just draw a tangent, you know it here. If you draw the tangent here, you know it will be somewhere here. Okay. So you can just look into the diagram. Okay. So that is why like we are talking about Schottky junction. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this part first. Okay, we're just going to talk about this part. Then we're going to proceed with Schottky junction. Okay.
Sure,
So
sir.
this diagram is very important. Okay, this all diagram explains a lot of things. Okay, this actually takes a single class, so that's why I just try to put everything here. Okay, so that you have all the information in this one single slide. You know what is the range of current, how much voltage you need for forward bias, how much voltage you need for reverse bias. Imagine giving a voltage of 2 in reverse bias. You are going to get nothing. Okay, no current at all. Okay, so you have to apply a very high voltage. So whenever you are having a forward bias and you're applying that much of high voltage, the chances are you are actually going to damage the diode. But on the other hand, in the reverse bias, if you're connecting it, you are not going to damage the diode because the majority charge carriers are not there. It's because of the minority charge carriers. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about now is we are going to just talk a bit about the near ohmic contact. Okay. So just let's talk about the near ohmic contact. So this is actually important. So near ohmic. Okay. So let me go to this near ohmic. And how do we actually find out near ohmic? So let's just discuss this part. So let me just write it down point wise. Okay. Okay. So in near ohmic contact, how do you exactly make those near ohmic contact? Okay. So you can actually have an n plus system. Okay. So what we have here is nothing but n plus. I'll tell you what is n plus if you don't know already. Okay. For p plus setting for p plus, and then this is important. Okay, n plus p plus junction. And what is basically n plus and p plus junction? So n plus is nothing but something which is doped with excess electron, doped with excess. And p plus nothing but doped with excess So I'm not just going to go and explain you what is how do I dope it or not because these things are basic semiconductor. So what happens usually is that there is nothing called as n minus p minus. Although I've seen some book mentioning it. Internet also there will be somewhere you get that information mentioned as n minus and p minus. So there is nothing like n minus and p minus. Okay? It's all n plus and p plus. Two access electron, p plus equal to access force. Else you have got an n type and p type. So what happens here is usually this. Okay, so let's understand the logic here. This is very simple. I need a straight line. That means with the voltage, I should get an equal amount of current. Okay? That's a proportionality part that we need. It follows Ohm's law, right? So whenever we are talking about Ohm's law, okay, we actually know this is nothing but V is proportional to I. And since this is proportional to I, hence the reason that it's basically a straight line. Okay, so that's the reason that whenever I am going to increase the voltage, the current should increase proportionally. But then, if you have got less number of charge carriers, the chances are that you have to give more voltage so that at some point the current will start increasing. But then, if the voltage becomes too high, there will be more current. It won't be proportional to the voltage supply. So, what is the solution? The solution is increase the majority charge carrier before applying the bias. So we have more charge carriers, so that means lightest of voltage can actually result in a large current. And as a result, it might be almost a straight line. So please remember this is near ohmic, not exactly ohmic. Okay? So that is very important. Okay, and how exactly do we have these circuits connected? Okay, so what happens is you are actually basically having let's say an N-type semiconductor. Okay, So you can just draw this semiconductor. So you can have this semiconductor slab. Okay. So you can have a small semiconductor slab, and then in this particular region, what happens is you can just uh, where the contacts are made, okay, and this particular region might be the N plus region and the P plus region. So this is nothing but, let's say, N plus, okay, and this part is nothing but plus, okay, and then you have got the part where you actually shoulder the metal. You can just take the metal and shoulder it. So this is how exactly the contacts are being made. Okay, we're going to look into more detail. Don't get confused as of now. Okay, it's not going to be very complicated. So this is the metric part. Okay, so you are actually making the contact. So suppose you want to get all the current that is being given by this semiconductor system. What you do usually is you connect a very highly conducting material. So let's say silver is one of the best conductors. Okay, but then even if you connect a copper wire, you're basically going to get some good kind of signal out. Okay, so copper or silver. Okay, that will be nothing but good conductors. Okay. So this is one way of making a contact. Okay. Another way of making the contact might be something like this. Okay. So another way of making the contact would be this. Okay. Let's say I actually, okay, let me just take a new page. What happens is another kind of making the metal contact is this. So let's say I will have a so you will have the metal on this part, okay, and then you have got a P plus type here. This will be P plus, okay. And then you will have a P type, okay. That means a normal semiconductor connection, okay. And then you can have the other part, okay, the N type, and then you can do the other connection on the other side. So you know you have to apply a different voltage altogether. Okay. So this will be basically the metal part, okay. So this will be the metal part. Yes, you can just write it down, okay. So this will be nothing but the metal, okay, metal, and this will be P plus, and this will be P, and this can be the remaining. Yeah. So way of making the connection, okay, and that's possible. So you can have either of these two types of connection and basically actually do it, okay. So that's very simple. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw the energy band diagram. You know, whenever you are actually talking about these parts, you actually basically need to make a energy band diagram. So that's very important. So now what we are going to do is we are going to talk about the energy band diagram, which is important. So the first energy band diagram, or I'll just take one example, Na plus semiconductor, and the Pp plus. Maybe I can just give it to you. You can also do it. Okay. So energy band diagram. The first one is N. Electronics is interesting, very interesting. Okay, but we need to understand it better. Okay, so that's more important. I have see once the classes starts physically, I will show you. I have an electronic kit. Okay, I'll show it to you. You can see different types of electronic element. How does it look? Okay, how can we use it? Even we can make some circuits, have some breadboards and all. Even if you're not doing it, you can do it as a hobby. Okay? So this is what is we are going to talk about is N%. If I have to draw a pentagon, so it's going to take some time. Let's try drawing it, okay, first. So let me just draw it, okay, and then you can also understand it. Okay, and it's not that difficult. So you know, whenever it's a semiconductor, we are having the conduction band, the valence band, the Fermi energy level, and so on. Okay. So we have this conduction band, and this is a valence band, okay. And then I can actually go the Fermi level, different color for Fermi level. So maybe this is N plus. So yeah. So we have the valence band here. We have the valence band here. So just write it down as EV. These are all obvious, you already know, okay? And then this will be nothing but the Fermi level, EF, okay? And then this is nothing but the conduction level, EC. Okay? We have it. Now what happens is that if it is not connected, okay, so what will be this? Let's say this is our, okay, this will be nothing but an N-type silicon. So I'm not saying that it's N plus, okay? And what happens here is that this is the Fermi level and this is the conduction band, okay? And then if you're applying some kind of voltage, the chances are you'll be having some electrons here, some electrons. Might be you're applying a low voltage and there will be some kind of electrons here. And on this side, you'll be getting volts. You are having the volts because some vacancy is created, okay? And then there is actually going to the other side. This of course after applying some kind of energy, okay? So this is a normal silicon N-type semiconductor that we have. Okay? And then on the other hand, we can actually again have the N plus type. Okay? So you know whenever you actually drawing the N plus type, what happens here is basically the Fermi level will shift higher. Okay, this might be a question which I should ask you, but then you have to just go and revise if you don't remember. You know this Fermi level will shift higher because you have got more number of charge carriers. Okay, so the chances are that the electrons that will actually be having this particular case will be more band. Okay, okay, and there is also a reason that we have the Fermi level which is shifting higher. Okay, and then we can actually have the conduction level. So since we are talking about silicon here, so basically the band gap does not change, the band gap more or less. So please remember this is before the contact. Okay. So if you remember what we have done, okay, I think it did not got saved because the app should some error. Okay. So what happens is we actually have the part here where we are actually not making any kind of contact. So let's say for the same amount of voltage, what happens is you are having more electrons here. We have got more electrons here. Okay. More electrons. And so this is nothing but N. So what is this? This is before contact. Okay. So this is before contact. So this is. So I prefer typing because it becomes easy for you to understand. I do the previous digital pen that. So this is before contact. Now what happens after the contact? Okay. So what are the points that I should note here? Okay. What are the points that we should note here? The first point is very simple. There are many electrons here. Okay. So you know, whenever we are having an N plus semiconductor, we have got more electrons. Okay? So this is what happens. Now, what happens if we make the contact? Okay? So I actually want to make the contact, and what happens? I'm going to see after we make that contact. So this is before. Now what happens after? So let me just draw it first, and probably then after that I will maybe explain it to you. Okay? So So whenever you are applying a biasing, okay, whenever you are connecting, okay, it's just like an example of a water tank. If you are having water here and you are having water here and you are somehow connecting it, the chances are that the water will flow from this end to this end until the level becomes equal. Okay. So in terms of Fermi energy level, if we are making the contact, it will keep flowing until and unless the Fermi level for both the cases are equal. That is important. Okay. So if I just take this program key, I will just try to make it as accurate as possible. Let's keep this one. Take this this. Then let me just complete the drawing first, and then I'll just do it up to my level. So I'll take almost around this time. Once you make the contact, the Fermi level comes to come very near to each other. Okay. So you know this is the potential. This is the potential. Okay. So what happens is I can actually apply a forward bias and reverse bias based on which this width will change or this height will change. Okay, the difference between these two. Okay. So before I really do it, okay, let me just complete the drawing first. Lower energy level is remain here. Okay. Okay. And then what I do, I actually let's say apply a forward bias. Okay. So let me just here. it's applying a voltage, just showing it in this way. This might not be very accurately designed because I'm not showing any kind of connection, but this is just for illustration purpose. Okay, so I will apply this. Okay, so let's say this is your forward bias. So we are applying a forward bias. So when we apply a forward bias, okay, this is the negative part, okay, and this is connected, let's say, to the negative part, okay. So you know, the if we are actually applying a forward bias here, the current, the electrons rather will start flowing from this end to the other end, okay. So think about it in terms of a junction transistor that we talked about, okay, and then this will keep flowing unless the electrons that are present are same in both the cases. So you have electrons here, and then so what exactly happens here is that once you apply a biasing, and if you're applying a forward biasing, you are increasing the potential for electrons here. The electrons will rise, okay, and then it will actually start flowing, okay, on this side, and then they will be keep on flowing until the levels of both the systems are same. So that means their Fermi levels will become more or less equal. Okay, so this is also clear. Okay. So this is how basically a system usually works. Okay, and then I think I should make this point very clear here. Flow of electrons after contact. Okay, so this is flow of electrons. So this is the flow of electrons after the contact. So this is exactly how you actually draw the energy band diagram. Okay. So this is what happens in forward bias. Okay. But then there is one mistake in the diagram which I'd like to correct it here. Okay. If there is a change in potential on this end, so you see if it is at the same level, it basically drops. Okay. And why this keeps dropping? Because you know this is at a higher level. Okay. So this is a way to represent it. This is at a higher level. So if this comes down, okay, I should use if this I bring it down, okay, if this I bring it down, then this everything will come down there. Everything will come down there. And then when it comes down here, eventually this will be equal. Okay? So if this becomes equal, that means I will have a difference here. So this difference is actually shown by this particular other line. Okay? Let's take that. So this is what happens in case of biasing. But then if this comes down, this should also come down because this does not change the band gap, right? Band gap more or less remains the same. Okay? So what I will do is I'll do slight modification when you actually draw it. But let's say it is this part, okay. And then what I will do is I will actually eventually this should be the same. I think it will be a bit difficult to actually measure it, but then approximately it will be the same way. Then so this is the more correct diagram. So whenever you look into any kind of book, okay, they are actually doing these kind of energy diagrams. But then you have to understand what is the discussion all about. Now, as far as my class is concerned, I am explaining everything in the diagram itself so that it becomes easy for you. Okay. So I prefer that you make your own sentences to explain it. It should not be very difficult here. Okay. One of the points that you can actually see here is that if there are electrons on this side, there are holes here. There are holes. Yeah, it's not that it does not have ports. Okay, so this is the case that happens in case of forward bias. Okay, so what happens is that if we apply a negative potential, it will actually raise the electrons. Okay, and it will actually start flowing. Okay, so here I have not raised it because we are actually showing the equilibrium situation here, where the Fermi levels becomes the same for both the cases. Okay, and this particular level will eventually come down so that levels of both cases are same. This is nothing but the flow of electrons. So this is the flow of electron after. Okay? So this is something which happens after. So this is the entire explanation for this. I would suggest that all of you just go through this and try to understand how to do it. Okay, it should not be very difficult for you. But then one more thing is I have talked only about the N plus semiconductor. Okay, I did not talk about the PP plus semiconductor. The PP plus semiconductor is something which I need to you. Okay, very important. So what happens is I just write down some points which I have noted. I think this will be important for you. Okay. So, ये नीचे जाते हैं थोड़ा. So some points. Okay. So in a way, I thought of saving everything and making a note, but then somehow this app is showing some kind of error. Anyways, let me record it. So basically have it forward bias or reverse bias. Okay. So whether we basically have it in forward bias or reverse bias. Okay. The IV characteristic that have the IV characteristics. Okay. Is why? Because whenever we are talking about a reverse bias, we are also heavily doping it. Okay. So the IV characteristics is going to remain the same. Okay. It's all the same as there is always a large flow of current. Okay, large flow of current. So even in reverse bias, also you are going to get so much charge carrier that it's going to look something similar. Okay, so we somehow the app crashed, so the previous page is not saved. But then in that page, I have actually shown you that diagram, and from that diagram, you can actually see the near ohmic contact. It's almost the same. Okay, so what we do this is the reason that we actually make those n plus junctions. Okay, so hence what happens is, okay, hence we make n plus one junctions. Okay, junctions for making it almost ohmic. Please note down all these points, very important. Okay, and so we actually make them the almost ohmic product available. So you have to understand this is important. And what I will do is talk about the energy band diagram of the Schottky junction. As I said, we are also going to talk about the very important. So it's very important that when you do it in your exam, you actually write down these points clearly. Okay, and then I'm trying to be a bit organized here. I expect that you are also very organized when you're writing down in your copy or during your exam also. Okay, very important. So what happens is this. Okay, so if you're taking the almost part, okay, I just do this. Okay. So take a straight line here, almost a straight line, and then this part is this straight line. And I think why this part is not exactly a straight line is quite obvious, because it's anyway a semiconductor. Okay, you need to have some kind of voltage so that the charge carriers can overcome the potential, because it's not a pure conductor. So if it wants to overcome the potential, you cannot have a perfect voltage, okay, above which you will actually get some conduction. Okay, so that is very important. So I will give you just one task to do. Okay? This will be really important. Probably I might ask you in this. Okay. So what is your task? Okay, and the task is energy band diagram. Energy band diagram. Okay, for PP plus. For PP plus. Okay, so PP plus is very important. So if I am explaining MATLAB here, I might ask you PP plus. Okay. So I might teach you sometimes. I will teach you to make plain rice. Okay, but in your examination, I might ask you to write chicken biryani. So there is always a possibility. But then you being a master student and not being a school student, it is expected that you will apply your own ideas to actually explain those answers. Okay, so that is very important. So this is the task that I'm giving it to you. I'm not going to ask whether you've done it or not, because this might be a question in your exam or test or quiz, whatever. And also, please make a note of this, that you can always take help from your internet. Okay, and you can get different solutions from there also, and you can always try to. Okay.